Hi everyone, in today's lesson we're going to talk about regressions day 3, which is what we call a sinusoidal regression. Basically it would be a scatter plot that has the form of a sine or cosine curve. So if you look at this first example, I have a bunch of scattered plots all over the place, but the curve of best fit makes a sine graph. Same thing here, this one looks like a cosine graph. Sinusoidal just means a trig function, doesn't necessarily have to just be sine or cosine. So here's our example. The average daily temperature in degrees Fahrenheit in Fairbanks, Alaska is given in the table. Time is measured in months where t equals 0 represents January 1st. Write a trigonometric model that gives t as a function of little t. So notice that my table now this time is horizontal, and it's totally okay. We're just going to make this my list 1 and make this my list 2. So at this time, I'd like you to input the information into your calculator. At this time, it's really good to pause the video too, so that way you can hit resume when you're ready to continue. So part A here asks us to find the sinusoidal regression model to fit the data. Round all values to the nearest thousandth, which is 2 values, 2 decimal places. So we're going to hit stat, and we're going to hit edit, and you're going to put your numbers in. I've already done that just to save time. You'll hit second quit to get rid of everything. And then we're going to hit stat over to calc, but this time we're going to go down to where it says sine REG, sine regression. And in your X1, you want to put L1. In your Y list, you want to put L2. Your period, you want to leave blank. And the store regression, you want to leave blank. Your calculator should also say right above where it says X list, it should say iterations and it says 3. You can disregard that, never touch that, pretty much leave that alone. And then hit calculate when you're ready. And here is our sine equation. So you want to be careful how you do this. It says y equals a sine parentheses bx plus c parentheses d. So the A, we're going to round to the nearest thousandth, which is 3 decimal places. But first, for purposes of like making it less confusing, let's just do 2. Let's do it to the nearest hundredth. So let's say y equals 37.41 for A, sine B is 0.52x plus negative, so I'm just going to write minus 1.72, and then my D value is 26.489, which is 26.50. All right, so this should be my sine regression equation. And again, I didn't say thousandth because it was just too many. I said rounded to 2 decimal places. So this is my equation. Now let's see if we can answer some questions about it. So I've written it down just so we have it again, but part B says, using this sine regression model that you made in part A, figure out what the temperature would be on April 1st and December 1st. So we kind of have to go back here for a minute. It tells us that time equals 0 represents January 1st. So on the right side over here, I'm actually going to write out a little, I don't want to say map, but if time equals 0 is January 1st, then time equals 1 would be February 1st. Time equals 2 would be March, April. So this is time equals 3. So I know that you're thinking April is, month 4, but they're telling you that time equals 0 is January 1st, so you just have to follow the pattern. And then if we keep going, 4, that's May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. So December would be 11 if we follow that pattern. So December is x equals 11 and April is x equals 3. So all we do now is just plug into this equation. So we have y equals 37.41 sine 0.52, but now my x value is 3. Oops, I shouldn't have closed it. Minus 1.72 plus 2650. And we could set up the other one. Y equals 37.41 sine 0.52, but now this time it's times 11, and then minus 1.72 plus 2650. So the only thing that you have to make sure about is, since that you're typing into the calculator sine, you need to be in radian mode. This is the only time in the course where you need to be in radian. So the way that we do that is you go to the mode button and change it to radian. So once you do that and you've changed it, we're ready to type in now. So if we do the first one, 37.41 sine 0.52 parentheses 3, make sure you close it, minus 1.72, then close that parenthesis, plus 2650. So please make sure you're typing in every single parenthesis just the way you see it, and you should get y is equal to approximately 20.5399. It doesn't exactly say what to round to, so let's round to the nearest whole degree. So this is approximately 21 degrees Fahrenheit. So in April, we are at approximately 21 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, same thing for the second one. So I'm just going to retype it in. So 37.41 sine 0.52 times 11 this time. Oops. 37.41 sine 0.52 times 11 minus 1.72 plus 26.50 gives you approximately y equals negative 1.8119. So if I round it, it's approximately negative 2 degrees Fahrenheit. And obviously that makes sense. You know, you're in Alaska, it's cold. In December, it would be negative 2 degrees. In April, it'd be a little bit warmer, 21 degrees. We could even see if this makes sense in our table. So when x is equal to 3, which is about April, so 2.5 to 3.5, right? This is 3, that's April. It should be somewhere between 11 and 30, and it was. We got 21, right? That was perfect. And then December is 11, so somewhere around here. And we got approximately negative 2, which is between 2.7 and negative 6.5. So that's perfect. It works nicely. All right. The last thing I want to ask us to do is gather some information from the equation and kind of bring us back to what we did a couple of weeks ago. So given this equation, can you tell me the amplitude? And you should be remembering that the amplitude is found by taking the absolute value of the number in front. So the absolute value of 37.41 is nothing other than 37.41. It stays positive. Period, you should remember, is a formula. The formula for period is 2 pi over b, where b is the number of cycles. We can't do that one just yet, so I'm going to skip that for just a quick second. Vertical shift is the number outside the parentheses. This one we absolutely can do. So this number out here is my vertical shift. So we're going to go up because it's a positive 26.50. And our horizontal shift, we know, is on the inside here. But we can't do horizontal and period just yet. And there's a reason. The reason is because of the way the formula looks. If you remember from when we did these equations, they always needed to be in the form y equals a sine bx plus or minus c plus or minus d. So your b value was always on the outside, and then there was a parentheses with just an x on the inside. So we have to do a little bit of manipulation to get this to look like this. So I'm going to write it here first, and I'm going to show you how it's done. So y equals 37.41 sine. And then I'm going to put the plus 2650. 0.52x minus 1.72. So what we're going to do is we're going to take out this 0.52, kind of like a GCF, and we're going to divide each piece by 0.52. So 0.52x divided by 0.52 is just x. And then we're going to divide this 1.72 by this 0.52. So I'll do that in the calculator over here. So I have negative 1.72 divided by 0.52. And that gives me approximately Again, I'm just going to round, negative 3.31. And then we bring everything else down. The plus 2650, the 3741, and the sign. So it's almost like now this is my equation. So my B value is still the 0.52, so we can do that for the period. So 2 pi over B, which is 0.52. So in the calculator, I'm just going to divide 2 and 0.52. So that gives me about 3.8. So I'm going to see if I can make that a fraction just to make my life easier. So math and fraction, 50 over 13 pi. That would be my period. And then the horizontal shift is found by looking at the number inside here. So see how it's a minus sign? Remember, it's opposite, so that actually means we're going to go to the right. So we're actually going to go right 3.31. And that information is just found after you did the division of the B value. So I think it's these is probably where it's most tricky. So maybe we should do another example of just finding the period and the horizontal shift. So I'm going to see if I can add a page. There we go. Let's add a blank page. Okay, so I'm going to do another example. So let's write this one down. So let's just say we have y equals 3 sine 0.25x plus 0.88 minus 3. And I want you to find the amplitude first. So we can say the amplitude is the absolute value of the number in front. So the amplitude is the absolute value of 3, which is just 3. The period is found by taking 2 pi over b, where b is the number of cycles. The b you could still use is still here, this 0.25. So we do 2 pi over 0.25. I'm going to go over here to the calculator and do 2 divided by 0.25. It gives me 8, so my period is 8 pi. I have a vertical shift, and my vertical shift is this value at the end, which is down because it's minus, so down 3. And then my horizontal shift is going to be found when I divide out that B value. So basically what you have to do, I'll move this down so you can kind of see what I'm doing, is you have to divide this 0.25 out of both of those. So we're going to do 0.25x divided by 0.25. That's going to give us just x. Then we're going to divide 0.88 by 0.25. So I'll go to the calculator, and that gives me 3.52. So I'll add 3.52, and then I can bring down everything else. I can put this here, sine 3 and minus 3. So this will tell me now my horizontal shift. So my horizontal shift is inside here. Since it's a plus, it really means it went to the left. So this is left 3.52. So you really can't find the horizontal shift until after you've divided out this number in front. I feel like we should do one more, and we'll just focus on the horizontal shift. Okay, so let's say we have y equals negative 5 sine of 0.75 x minus 0.95 and then plus 1. So, all right, I changed my mind. Let's do it all. So we have the amplitude, which is the absolute value of the number in front. So the absolute value of negative 5 is 5. My period is found by taking 2 pi over b, where b is the number of cycles and b is the number in front of x, so the 0.75. So 2 pi divided by 0.75. So I'm going to go back to my calculator and divide 2 by 0.75. And I get approximately 2.66, but I'm going to make it a fraction, and I get approximately 8/3. It's my period. My vertical shift is found when I look at the number all the way at the end, which is +1. So that means we're going to go up 1. And then my horizontal shift is found after I divide out that b value. So over here, we're going to divide out this 0.75 in here. So if we look, 0.75x divided by 0.75 is just x. And then we want to divide 0.95 and 0.75. So negative 0.95 divided by 0.75. We get an obnoxious number, which we can round. So let's round this to 2 decimal places like everything else. So 1.266, it would be 1.27. So the horizontal shift will tell me that since it's a minus, I'm actually going to go to the right. It's opposite of what you think it is. And it's right, 1.27. And that's it. All right, if you have any questions, please let us know. That is it for today. Have a good night.